Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon which time zone you are. Okay. Sorry for the initial delay. I was not able to come connect with my existing system, so I had to borrow a different one. Okay. I think last week I conducted a poll and I asked like people what they were interested in, and the highest topics were people generally wanted to know about crypto, and the other topic which most of you guys asked was what are the latest trends? Okay, like what are the latest trends? Like it could be gaming, it could be metaverse, it could be Web 3.0, DeFi, or whatever. Okay, so let me just start with what is crypto. Okay, and then probably we'll touch what are the different things we can do in crypto. Then followed by that, we'll talk about what are the latest trends, like what's happening in crypto, how do we follow the trends, how do we identify what are the tokens associated with those trends, how do we buy it? Okay, we'll go through that. Okay, and followed by that, I will try to answer any questions if anybody has. Again, I am not an expert. I mean, there are a lot of people who know better than me. All I've been is like I've been in this field for like 4.5 years. So I'll try to tell whatever I know. If and whatever I can answer, I'll answer. If there is something which I don't know, I'll definitely come back to you. Okay. So coming to what is generally crypto. Okay. So we all know, like there are different systems in our day which we use in our day-to-day life. Okay. To explain better, let's take a banking system. Okay. So everybody uses banks, okay, to transfer money, to pay for things. Okay. We use it, on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So, but if you see, banking is controlled by an organization. Okay, like for example, if it is Bank of America, it is controlled by Bank of America. Depending upon the bank, they have an organization, and an organization controls the bank. Okay, so where does crypto come into picture? Okay, so for example, like you have a bank account. Okay, if you want to withdraw money or do something, okay, it's totally though you have your own credit card, you can withdraw from ATMs and all that stuff, but still you are not in full 100% control of your account. Okay, any given time, bank can freeze your account, or put a temporary freeze on it, or they can stop you from withdrawing more than a certain amount. They can put limits, they can change it. Okay, so it's still in their control. Okay, you're not fully in control of your bank account. Okay, or for that matter, like take for anything, okay, which is controlled by any centralized authority. Okay, you cannot, it's not in your control. We feel it is in our control, but it's not really in our control. Okay, even for example, take the stock market. Okay, I'm sure like everybody might have, like everybody knows about this GameStop, or like there were some meme stock like 6 months ago, and suddenly a lot of exchanges, they put restrictions saying you cannot buy, you can only sell, or like later they said if you want to buy, you can only buy certain stuff or like certain amount. So though this is all these systems feel, I mean, they make us feel that we are in control. It's not really in our control. Okay, like let's take another example, which is like YouTube, or like any social platform, where you can share your thoughts. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Okay, so though you have your account, you can set up, you can set your options and all that stuff. But any given point of time, okay, the central authority, like for example YouTube, if they don't like your videos, they can take it down. Okay, or they can freeze your account. Okay, for that matter, like Twitter, they can block your account. Okay, or they can like hide some of your tweets. I mean, it's totally in their hands. Though we feel it is in our hands, it's not really in our hands. Okay, it's always controlled by a centralized authority. So that's when crypto came into picture. Okay, so what is crypto? Okay, crypto is, they don't want how do we eliminate the middleman or central authority, and everybody in the system governs themselves. Okay, that is the thought about crypto. I mean, that was the initial thought, how crypto came into picture. Okay, so initially it started with when initially Bitcoin was invented. Okay, they wanted a global money which is not controlled by any organization or any government. Okay, for example, if you see US is dollar is controlled by US government, like rupee is controlled by Indian government, like so every currency has some sort of central authority and they have all the rights and they can do whatever they want. So the introduction of crypto, I mean, the thought about crypto was they wanted some kind of a universal money which is not governed by anyone. I mean, no central authority. Okay, so that was the thought behind Bitcoin. Okay, so and again, if you see, they also wanted something like how the money should be. I mean, they thought like the money should be divisible. I mean, for example, if you have $100, you should be able to you are able to spend $1 or $10 or $20. Okay, you don't have to spend all $100 at a time. You can divide the money. Okay, so similarly, when they designed Bitcoin, you can divide Bitcoin into like more than a million parts. Okay, like the lowest one is Satoshi. Okay, and Bitcoin is not really controlled by anyone. Okay, it's controlled by all the people in the blockchain. Okay, so tomorrow if somebody wants to increase the number of Bitcoins, they cannot do it. Or if somebody wants to erase a transaction, they cannot. Or if somebody wants to block a certain address, they cannot, because it's not controlled by a central authority. Okay, it's controlled by everybody in the system. Okay, so for example, you want to make a transfer. Okay, like somebody wants to make a transfer, like let's say I want to make a transfer of 1 Bitcoin from my wallet to some XYZ person. Okay, if it is in a bank, it's the onus of the bank to figure out the person who is the person who is sending the money has enough balance, and then they deduct the money from our account and they credit it onto the destination account. Here also the same thing happens, but the onus is not on a single person. Okay, the onus is on the network. Okay, so when I say like I want to do a transaction, like send 1 Bitcoin from my wallet to someone else, that transaction is broadcasted to everybody. So all the people, in this case, like all the computers who are there in the network, they all validate, saying that, hey, does Rajesh have like 1 Bitcoin in his account he's trying to transfer? So everybody, like they check the chain, the ledger, and they say, yes, Rajesh has 1 Bitcoin, so he can transfer. So it's a consensus model. So everybody in the system, they have full visibility to all the transactions, to all their wallets. So as soon as the transaction is broadcasted, people vote. Okay, depending upon the token. Okay, the number of confirmations differ. For example, in Bitcoin, like generally it is 21. So if 21 people say that yes, this transaction is valid, then it allows you to do a transaction. And the beauty of this is everybody can see the transaction. You cannot hide all these transactions. Okay, everything is visible on the ledger. Okay, if I make a transaction now, that can be viewed by everybody in the system. I mean, it's immutable. I mean, you cannot erase it, you cannot modify it, you cannot, you cannot change or do anything. So once it is written to the blockchain, it is there for everyone. Okay, I mean, you might be hearing like, people are using money, and mainstream media might be telling you that people are using, Bitcoin to, do some illegal activities and all that stuff. That happens everywhere. Even with like traditional money, it's possible. But with Bitcoin, it's like, it is possible, but it will be very foolish of the person to do it, because all the transactions are visible. I mean, if you just know the wallet address, you simply put that wallet address in the web. You can simply see like what are the transactions he has made, and it's public knowledge. The same thing is not true with your traditional money or any sort of like a money transfer system which is controlled by a centralized authority. Okay, so that is what is crypto. It's a decentralized thing. There is no central organization. There is no central owner. It is controlled by the people who are in the network, and everything is done based on the consensus model. Okay.
Rajesh, sorry for interruption. Just quick thing. I know you're not sharing anything, but if you plan to, you have access. Just a pointer, okay?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So it's a consensus model. As long as majority of the people in the network agree, okay, the transaction can take place. Okay, so that is what is generally a crypto. Anything if you want to control, anything if you want to do it as a group, okay, as a community, okay, that is what is crypto. It could be money transfer. It could be it could be like a platform like YouTube. It could be a platform like lending and borrowing. Okay, you can figure out like whatever system exists today. Okay, you can think about a blockchain version of it. Okay, for example, land registrations. Okay, that could be a system on the blockchain. Okay, because once it is written to the blockchain, it's immutable. Like you cannot change it. Okay, it is visible to everyone. So it's a very good system where you can reduce fraud, okay, or manipulation. People cannot modify or do anything, and it's visible to public. So that's how that was the idea behind like crypto and blockchain. Okay, so Bitcoin was the first thing. Okay, where they started it just for a peer-to-peer transaction. They wanted a system where people can exchange bitcoins as a form of currency between each other. Okay, then the next crypto that came into picture was Ethereum. Okay, so Bitcoin was there somewhere in 2011. Followed by that, Ethereum came into the picture in 2015. So Ethereum came with a concept saying like you can write programs. Okay, so Bitcoin was just peer-to-peer transaction where you could exchange bitcoins between each other. But Ethereum came up with a concept saying like you can write programs. Okay, you can write smart contracts. Okay, so for example, smart contract is like you do this, then automatically the next event happens. So you can relate two events. Okay, so if this event happens, this event will be automatically triggered. Okay, so so Ethereum is a smart contract platform. So based on which, like you see, there are like hundreds and thousands of projects, okay, that are built on Ethereum. So till 2017, okay, majority of the project, like 99% of the projects were built on Ethereum. Then, like looking at Ethereum, there are like so many other platforms which have come into existence. Like you see from 2018 to 2021. You'll see there are like majority of the platforms which were similar to Ethereum, or like there are some platforms which are even better than Ethereum. Like for example, in 2018 we saw EOS. Okay, EOS was the Ethereum competitor. Now, then we have like today we have like Solana. We have Atom. You have like AVAX. Okay, so there are like so many platforms. Okay, so first, Bitcoin was the first one. It was a peer-to-peer currency. Then, you saw the advent of platforms, and then you saw like so many other tokens which provide different functionality. Okay, for example, like if you see Ripple, I'm sure like a lot of people who know crypto, they know about Ripple. So Ripple came up with their own token saying like they will transfer, and they will help banks transfer money across countries using like their technology or their blockchain with a fraction of a cost. Okay, so Ripple is with payments. Similarly, like if you see like the thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies, each have their own concept. Okay, something could be like decentralized storage, something could be decentralized YouTube. Okay, there are tokens which say they are decentralized Twitter. So any application which you see in your real life, okay, you will find one or two projects which are like decentralized version of them. Okay, so basically their idea is, or anything that is controlled by a centralized authority, once you get it into blockchain, you can make it decentralized. So it has no single owner. Okay, everybody, all the participants in the network are the owners. And whatever system you can think about, that can be, decentralized and brought onto blockchain, and that is what is happening. Okay, if you see in 2017 we had like close to 2,000 cryptocurrencies, but now if you see we have like more than like 10,000. Okay, everything might not be visible, but you have like more than 10,000 different cryptocurrencies serving different needs, or are providing different services. Okay, but again, as in any industry, okay, there are a lot of cryptos which like 90% of them will die. Okay, so people who are investing, okay, like people who are new into crypto, okay, it cannot be a blind investment. Okay, so people need to really understand what is the motive, what is the use case, okay, and does the use case make sense, okay, and is the team capable enough to handle what they are promising to do. Like, let's say for example, if there is a project and somebody says like, oh, we are going to build a decentralized YouTube. Okay, again, it's not a small project to do. So before investing into that, like, we need to do our due diligence to figure out, like, do they have the required team to do it? Do they have the required infrastructure to do it? Do they have the enough experience to do it? What is their background and all that stuff? Okay, so there are like so many cryptocurrencies. Okay, most of them are just money grabs. Okay, because the sector is like too hot. Okay, and people don't know what is happening. So there are more and more scams every day. Coming into the market, they're all just money grabs. So people who want to invest, they have to do their due diligence to make sure that they are investing in the right project. Okay, and crypto is very volatile. I mean, people who are into stocks, okay, maybe like a 10% swing here and there is a big thing. Like if a stock goes 10% up or 10% down, it's a wild swing in stock market. But in crypto, a 50% swing in a day or 100% swing in a day is quite normal. Okay, so if you buy something for $1, next day it can either go to $10. No one is really surprised. At the same time, if it goes to like a penny, still nobody is surprised. So since the liquidity is low, there are like very few people who are trading compared to any other traditional markets. Okay, the volatility is very high. So again, people who are new or like you want to get into crypto, make sure you only start with the amount which you want to, which you are ready to lose. Okay, so people say like, put the money which you are ready to lose. But I would say, put the money assuming you lost that money. Okay, so the moment you put it into crypto, assume that is lost. Okay, then you will not have any expectations. And like if you lose all the money, you're not saddened because you are well prepared for that. So don't put a lot of money. People who are new or like don't have a lot of experience, I wouldn't suggest like putting more than like 0.5% of what they want to invest into crypto. Then probably once you get more and more exposure, and you understand things, then possibly you can go ahead and increase your portfolio. But any given point of time, it should not be more than 5 to 8% of your portfolio. So let's say somebody wants to put like 100,000 into investment. Okay, then maybe 5 to 8,000 should be in crypto. Some part could be in stocks, some parts could be in mutual funds, some parts could be in like real estate. So diversify. Don't go into crypto in a big way. Okay? Slowly, like enter slowly, and the more comfortable you are, you can start putting more money. Okay, so just to give you an idea like how I started crypto and what I did. I started doing crypto in 2017, mid of 2017. Okay, so it was like very new. Of course, today you have a lot of resources where you can learn about crypto, but 2017 they were, but not much. So I started with like 5,000. Like if I could see like 5,000 becoming 8,000, and like I started on putting like a lot of money. Okay, those days the thing was like, okay, something is going to like 100 increase 100 times. Okay, not 100%, 100 times. Like if you put $100, it's going to become 10,000 or like $1 million or 100,000. So people were thinking about 100x's, 1000x's. Okay, so I put like a good chunk of money. Okay, in 2017, I think I put close to like $80,000. It was like new for me, and there was nobody to tell me. As I'm telling you, there was nobody to tell me like how to put a lot of money, but it was new for me, and I could see my money grow. So I thought like, okay, let me buy more and more. Okay. By 2018 January, my investment was like close to $80,000. Okay, and then came the 2018 crash. Okay, and every day my portfolio was going down, but I was thinking, okay, it'll come up. It's just a blip. It's going today. It's going down today, but it's going to increase tomorrow. So I never took out my money. And you'll not believe by end of I would not say end, but Q3 of 2018 or Q2, Q3 of 2018, my 80,000 became 6,000. So my 80,000 was like somewhere around 200,000 in January of 2018, which was like almost 2.5 times. But by end of 2018, Q2, Q3 of 2018, came down to $6,000. Why? Because majority of the coins, they become like zero. I bought it like each token like $2, $3, but like they become like negligible. Okay, less than a penny, or like even a penny or zero, or they completely like went out of business. They just closed their Twitter, WhatsApp account, no trading, nothing. And there were cases where the complete exchanges went bankrupt. Okay, so my 80,000 became like 6,000. Okay, and I'm sure like anybody who was there in 2017 market crash, okay, they know this. Okay, a lot of people lost a lot of money. Okay, a lot of people made a lot of money. At the same time, a lot of people lost a lot of money. But somewhere, like even though that became 6,000, then I just like sold everything, and like I consolidated into only the top 3 or 4 tokens, and I just kept it there. I did not want to really sell it off and come out, because somewhere I was feeling like, okay, I mean, maybe the tokens and all that stuff which I bought are like not good, but the technology was promising. Okay, so I just consolidated into like top 3, and I kept it. And since 2018, like I was just putting little money, like not thousands of dollars, but maybe weekly $100 or like $200. Whenever I could, whenever I thought about crypto, I just went and bought like the really good top 25 tokens, and like for $100 or $200 a week or whatever it is. Okay. So I continued that in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Okay, and luckily, like now again I'm back to wherever I started. Like now I can see like whatever money I invested, like I put like 80,000 in the initial period, and then maybe during the another 2 years I put like around like 10 to 12K. So I put close to like 95K, and today I don't say I have huge gains, but I'm close to 2x of my portfolio. So the reason I'm telling you is don't go big into crypto if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, I mean it's not easy to see your portfolio going down from 80,000 to 6,000. Okay, it's a lot of stress to handle. Okay, and so many times you'll get you'll feel like, okay, this is completely a scam. I want to get out of it, and like a lot of people come out. And I have known people who lost a lot of money. They came out in 2018. Then again they bought the same tokens what they sold for pennies. They bought it for a few dollars. When they again invested in 2020, then again they sold it in 2021 bear market. Then again they bought it in the 2021 bull market, which started like August, September. Okay, so crypto is a game of patience. Okay, and nothing happens instantly. Okay, so if you see, like I waited all the way from 2018 till 2021 to see my portfolio get back to normal. Okay, so crypto is a game of patience, and you should have real good conviction about it. Okay, don't invest unless you know what that token is or whatever your investment is. You should be willing to wait for a year or 2 years or even more. Okay, only then you will stick to it. Otherwise, it's very difficult for you to stick. Okay, so that's the investment advice I can give. Don't go big into crypto. Start slowly. Okay, and only put it into top tokens. Okay, and again, another thing what I hear from a lot of people is, okay, like that guy put into this token, it became 100x, or he put $1,000, it became $10,000. Yes, you will hear a lot of stories like that. Okay, and what I've seen is people, they initially start with like top cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the moment their friend or somebody tells, like, hey, I found this, I put $1,000, it became 10,000. You hear stories on internet or something like that, and they immediately sell off Bitcoin and they put it into other cryptocurrencies. Okay, so do that only if you are sure, like not just because somebody told you. Okay, if you know about what that token is, what it's going to do, you have done your due diligence, only then put the money there. Okay, and again, I have never seen anybody being successful when they switch the tokens one after the other. Like say, for example, you buy Bitcoin thinking I'll hold it for a year, but immediately after a week somebody tells like, okay, I put it into Shiba Inu or Doji and it gave me like 10x profit. People sell Bitcoin and buy Shiba Inu and Doji. Okay, so if you keep changing from token to token, you will never succeed. Maybe if you're very, very lucky, maybe you'll get it. But in a long term, I mean, if you want to stay in crypto for long, that's not going to help you. Okay, so start slow. Only put the money into tokens which you know about, which you have done due diligence, and do not believe or do not trust anybody in crypto. Take nobody's advice. Okay, hear from everyone, do your due diligence, and then whatever your due diligence says, only put your money in there. Okay, no matter how much, like even if you're paying someone to give you signals, okay, nobody can tell you. Okay, at least stocks and all that stuff, those are mature markets. Maybe TA and all that stuff will work, but here no, nothing works. Okay, nothing is certain. It's more nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. Maybe you will get a broader message, a broader idea by listening to some YouTube channels and all that stuff, but never make any decisions based on YouTube channels or someone who tells you. Okay, it should always be your own decision. Unless you have done your due diligence, do not put into it. Okay, so that's the investment advice I would give to all the newcomers. Okay, now I think like I see like people are saying like where to buy cryptos. Yes. Okay, so okay, let me just open a Google Doc and just put something there. Just a minute, I'll share my screen and
yeah, if you want to share only one screen,
yeah,
like a doc or anything, you have that choice as well, Rajesh.
Yeah. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So coming to where you buy your crypto, okay, there are like two types of exchanges. When you come to crypto, there are two types of exchanges. Okay, one is centralized exchange. First type is centralized exchange. Second type is decentralized exchange. Okay, now, centralized exchange is like any exchange, like for your stocks. For example, if you want to purchase stocks, okay, Robinhood is an exchange, Webull is an exchange, okay, TD Ameritrade is an exchange. Okay, you have like so many exchanges. Okay, all these are centralized. What I mean by centralized is they are controlled by an entity. Okay, for example, Robinhood is controlled by Robinhood as a company. TD Ameritrade is controlled by like our own organization. Okay, so when so like for example, if you see centralized exchanges, Coinbase for people in US, okay, Coinbase is the starting point. Coinbase is a centralized exchange. Then you have Voyager. Then you have like KuCoin. Then you have Binance.us. Okay, so these are all centralized exchange. You would need to register an account. You have to do your KYC and all that stuff. Okay, only then you will log into. You will be able to log into the exchange and will be able to trade. Okay, now everybody needs a centralized exchange to start off. Okay, because in crypto, in order to trade crypto, okay, you have to convert your fiat. Like fiat could be like, if you're in India, fiat is like your INR. If you're in US, it is like the US dollars. Okay? Fiat is the currency of your regular day-to-day currency. Okay, so everybody needs to convert their fiat into crypto. Okay, so what is the starting point? Centralized exchanges are your starting points. Okay, without a centralized exchange, it's very difficult. Is there a way? Yes, you can, but it's very difficult. Okay, so for somebody who is new, I would suggest like register account with Coinbase, Voyager, KuCoin, or Binance US. Okay, one of these for people in US, and if people are in India, then I think WazirX. Okay, so these are some of the centralized exchanges. Okay, and again, as far as I know, there is no restriction. Like for example, nobody is stopping. Nobody is going to stop you from registering into Coinbase from India, as long as they accept your like Indian identity. Okay, so like if you see, majority of these exchanges are like across different countries. They don't have any restrictions, unlike your stock stuff. For example, if you register in Robinhood, it will allow you to only trade US stocks and options. But cryptocurrency is not like that. Okay, it's worldwide. Okay, and it's 24/7, 365 days a year. There is nothing like holidays or like no trading days, nothing. Okay, it's 24/7. It's always available. Okay, and most of the centralized exchanges, if you see, they are across the world. So you should be able to register from any country. Okay, and you should be able to convert your crypto, your fiat into crypto. Okay, so for people who are completely new, okay, I would suggest do not. You just open in centralized exchanges and you trade only there. Okay, do not come into decentralized exchanges. We'll talk about what decentralized exchanges. But for you, the first stop is this: Coinbase, Voyager, KuCoin, Binance US. Okay, and another one is FTX. Okay, again, FTX is a global exchange. If people in US they can always try with FTX US. Okay, US is a little bit strict about which exchanges can do business in US or not. So there is a possibility, like for example, Binance is a global exchange, but just for US customers it is Binance.us. Similarly, FTX is a global exchange. Anybody can register across the world, but for US residents it's FTX.us. Okay, so for newcomers, please stick to these exchanges. Okay, the advantage is it's very similar to your stock exchange. Okay, so people who are familiar with stocks, if they have interacted with Robinhood or any of stock platforms, they are very similar to this. Okay, there is a very little learning curve. You don't have a lot of stuff to learn. Okay, so please stick to this. Like do your KYC, get your link your bank accounts to this. They are like good exchanges. Okay, and you can transfer the money and start trading here. Okay. But again, another thing is, do not put a lot of money. Like for example, if somebody is like wants to put $100,000, like their portfolios are big. Okay, if you want to invest more than $100,000, okay, do not leave the cryptocurrency, whatever you buy, on your exchanges. Okay, so anything more than 100,000, do not leave on exchanges. Like, okay, this concept might be new. What do you mean by don't leave on exchanges? Okay, so for example, if you buy stocks in TD Ameritrade, you cannot take it away from TD Ameritrade. When you might be able to transfer it to some other exchange, but you cannot hold it personally. Okay, but crypto is not like that. Okay, so for example, you buy Bitcoin. Okay, you can take it out of your exchange, you can store it in your system, okay, in your laptop or in your wallet, and keep it safe. Okay, because no matter how good these exchanges are, there is always a 1% chance that these exchanges might be hacked and you might lose money. Okay, so people who are not familiar, like read about Mt. Gox. Okay, that was also a Japanese kind of exchange. Somewhere in 2013 or 2014, I think it got hacked and people still did not get their Bitcoins. Okay, so anything less than 100,000 is okay to keep on exchanges. But if people are buying more than 100,000 and you are planning to keep it for a long term, then I would suggest storing it in wallets. Okay, read about wallets. What is a hardware wallet? What is a software wallet? Like read about and figure out how to do it. Or another thing you can do is, if you don't want, that's a lot of work to store it onto wallet and keep it secure. Another thing what you can do is, if you want to invest more than 100,000, split it across multiple exchanges, maybe like 50,000 on Coinbase, 25,000 on Binance US, 25,000 on FTX US. So you can spread it across, so your risk is minimized. Okay, so you will be hearing a lot of phrases like, if they are not your keys, it's not your cheese. Yes, that's true. If you hold your crypto with you, only then it is safe. But again, that depends upon how much you are investing and how long you are investing. So for example, you bought Bitcoin today and you plan to sell it in 3 months, then I wouldn't suggest moving into a cold wallet or a software wallet or a hardware wallet, and then again at the time when you want to sell, moving into exchanges. Do not do that. Okay, so if you want to hold it for long, and if you are putting more than $100,000, then buy it on your centralized exchanges, move it into your wallets. But if it is anything less, then split it across multiple wallets. Okay, next is like if for people who want to hold it for long term, okay, there are certain exchanges, okay, which give you interest. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is buy and keep it on their exchange. Okay, for example, Voyager, it pays you interest on certain cryptos. Okay, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, they will give you like 6 or 7% interest on your Bitcoin. They pay it in the same currency. They don't pay it in US dollars. They pay it in the same currency. Okay, so if somebody is planning to hold for like a year or 2 years, then I would suggest go with Voyager. Okay, because they pay you interest, and instead of just sitting on the exchange, it's earning money for you. Okay, even FTX, for certain coins, they give you interest, but Voyager is the best if you want to hold cryptocurrency and make some interest on it. Similarly, there are other platforms. Okay, these I wouldn't call exchanges. I would give it a name as vaults. Okay, so BlockFi, then you have Nexo, then you have Celsius. Okay, so these are kind of vaults. They're not exchanges. Okay, for example, you buy crypto in Coinbase, and you can send that crypto to BlockFi, Nexo, or Celsius. They pay you a little more interest than these regular exchanges. Okay, so for example, BlockFi gives you like close to 8.5% interest. Nexo gives you between 10 and 12. Celsius also gives you between 10 and 12% interest. Okay, so if you're holding for long term, okay, then instead of keeping it in Coinbase, you can send it to Nexo, Celsius, or BlockFi. Create an account there and send it there, and it will be generating interest for you. Okay, now people who want to want to do a very safe trade. Okay, they don't want like anything like Bitcoin I buy today, it's very volatile. Like one day it is like up 20%, another day it is like 20% down or 30% down. If you don't want to deal with that volatility, okay, there are something called stable coins. Okay, so USDC, okay, USDT, okay, UST. These are all stable coins. You will find USDC, USDT, all those things in major in all these exchanges. Okay, so these are all always pegged to $1. Okay, they don't fluctuate. Okay, they're always like $1. They're pegged to $1. So what you can do is you can simply buy, with, like, let's say you want to put $1,000. So for $1,000 you will get 1,000 USDC. Okay, you can buy 1,000 USDC and send to BlockFi. BlockFi will give you 8.5% interest. So generally your currency, I mean your principal doesn't go down because they're always pegged to a dollar. Okay, at the same time you're earning 8.5% interest. Okay, again, don't put a lot of money in like one wallet. Let's say you want to invest like $20,000, you want to earn interest on $20,000. Then I would say like I'll put 5%, 25% in Voyager, 25% in BlockFi, 25% in Nexus, 25% in Celsius. Maybe you'll get between like 8 to 12, 8.5 to 12% depending upon where you're putting. But by distributing, you have you're minimizing the risk. Okay, so people who don't want to trade, or who just want to make some money through interest, you can always buy stable coins, and you can send it to BlockFi, Nexus, or Celsius, or you can simply keep it on Voyager. Voyager pays you 9% interest. Okay, 9% interest. They pay you monthly, so if you calculate, it's close to like 10.2 on an annum basis. So I don't think any bank in US gives you that kind of money. But again, there are risks, so please read what their disclaimers are and all that stuff, and don't put all your money. Maybe like try it out, and once you feel comfortable, you can increase your amounts. Okay, so that is for like very newbies, okay, who want to who are new to crypto. Stick to centralized exchanges. Okay, do not keep more than 100,000 on an exchange. Distribute it across exchanges, and if you don't want to deal with the volatility, you can always buy stable coins. Okay, and leave them on the exchange, and you can make good amount of interest on that. Okay, next comes decentralized exchanges. Okay, so now what are decentralized exchanges? Okay, so now decentralized exchanges, there is no central authority. So if you remember, like I told you, centralized versus decentralized. Decentralized, there is no central authority. Okay. For example, in order to create an account in Coinbase, you have to give your KYC, you have to upload your passports or like driving license or whatever, depending upon the country. You have to give everything, and they give you a username and password. Only then you log in and trade. But a decentralized exchange is nothing like it. You don't need any username or password. Nothing. You can trade immediately. Okay, no KYC, nothing. You don't. I mean, the identity of the person who is doing in the trade, nobody needs to know. Okay, so what is decentralization? So you will hear like Uniswap. Okay, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap. So generally they end with the name like swap. Okay, so these are like three common exchanges. Okay, all you do is you create a wallet. Okay, you create a wallet and you start trading. But it's not. I mean, the learning curve is too high. I mean, for people who are new, it's not easy to understand what a decentralized exchange is. Okay, and again, you cannot trade with your USD or like INR or anything. Okay, for a decentralized exchange, the currency is crypto. I mean, you exchange crypto for crypto. For example, if I want to buy Bitcoin in Coinbase, so depending upon your currency, like if you are in India, then you say like, okay, if you buy Bitcoin against your INR. Okay, if you are in US, then you buy Bitcoin against your USD. But in decentralized exchanges, the currency is your base or like your medium of exchange is not your native currency, USD or INR or like Euro or whatever it is. Okay, depending upon the type of exchange, the currency differs. For example, in order to trade anything in Uniswap, you would need Ethereum. Okay, to trade anything on PancakeSwap, you would need BNB. Okay. To trade anything on SushiSwap, okay, you would either need Ethereum or BNB or like Matic. Okay, every exchange has a base. Every decentralized exchange has like a base currency, but it is definitely not your traditional currency. Okay, so how do people trade? Okay, so you have something called MetaMask. Okay, let me let me share my browser and like show you how to create a MetaMask and how you trade on that. Just give me a minute. I think I'm share my screen and do it. Okay. So in order to trade with a decentralized exchange, for example, swap. Everybody is able to see my browser, right?
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah. Okay. So again, so if you want to trade in like any decentralized exchange, okay, so you will see here. Okay. This is Uniswap. Okay. It doesn't ask you for any username, password, anything. If you take Coinbase or anything like that, it'll ask you, hey, what is your username, what is your password? But here, nothing. There is no username, no password. Okay. So if you see here, okay, I went to Uniswap. It is saying connect your wallet. Okay. So you create a wallet. So wallet is like just a key. Okay. When you can create a wallet in MetaMask. Okay. I think I have shared the videos. Okay. So figure out like what is MetaMask. How do you create a wallet? It doesn't take a lot of time. Okay. So you just create your wallet. Okay. While creating a wallet, you don't give your name, ID, like you don't give your passport. You don't nothing. At least today, you don't give anything. All you go is install MetaMask. It's a piece of software, and you'll say create a wallet. It will give you a public key and a private key. That's it. You can simply come, connect your wallet, and start trading. And as I said, like your currency of exchange is not your traditional fiat. Okay, so you'll not see like you'll not be able to buy something with USD or like INR with decentralized exchanges. Okay, for example, if you see, I am on Uniswap. Okay, the medium of exchange is Ether. Okay, Ethereum. So you need to have Ethereum in order to trade. Okay, so you exchange Ethereum for some other tokens. So let's say you want to buy Matic or Solana or something like that. Okay, so you give Ether and you buy the corresponding token. So okay, so that is how decentralized exchange work. The decentralized exchange is like, what is the advantage? First, you don't need to do any KYC. Nobody can control. So similarly in Coinbase, like for example, you create a Coinbase account, they can simply come back and say like, hey, your document is not proper, or your license has expired, whatever you're done, or your passport is expired, like until you provide your new KYC, your account is blocked. They can completely do that. But with the decentralized exchange, nobody can do it. Okay, and always the funds are in your control. It's not on a centralized exchange or anything. It's in your wallet. Okay, nobody can take it out until you give them the permission to. So that is the advantage of a decentralized exchange. Okay, centralized exchange, you need KYC and all that stuff. Okay, but the advantage is the learning curve is very small. You can there is not a lot of stuff to learn. You can trade with your fiat. Okay, and you can always sell with your fiat. Okay, it's easy. Okay, but the thing is, it's a centralized thing. Okay, it's not totally in your control. It seems very similar to your bank account. You think it's in our control, but it's not really. They can block you, or they can stop transfers or anything at any given point of time. Okay, so those are the pros and cons of decentralized centralized exchange. Decentralized exchange is always the money is in your control. It's not there on any exchange. Okay, it is with you. Nobody is stopping you. You can withdraw whatever you want at any time. Okay, you can send it to anybody. Okay, nobody is asking you. You are in control. Totally, you are in control. Okay, what are the cons? You need to know. You need to learn about it. Okay, the learning curve is not simple, and you need to know like how to trade on DEXs. Okay, decentralized exchanges. How do you send money from a centralized exchange to decentralized exchange? Okay, it's a little bit of. Another big advantage of a decentralized exchange is there are a lot of tokens. Okay, for example, like if you see in a stock market, okay, generally if there is a stock, okay, it's available on most of the platforms. It's always like you can buy it in Robinhood, you can buy it in like TD Ameritrade or like any exchange. It's generally available, but that's not the case with cryptos. Okay, so something can be available on Coinbase, but it might not be available on Voyager. Okay, something can be available on is available on both Coinbase and Voyager, but it might not be available on KuCoin. Okay, it's still not a matured stuff. Okay, so crypto is still not mature, so that's why some coins are present in some exchanges and they're not present on others. Okay, so you have sites like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, or you can, so that will tell you where you can buy or sell. For example, so this is CoinGecko is a good site, okay, where you can find a lot of information. So for example, if I want to buy Ethereum, where can I buy? Okay, you just search for Ethereum or whatever may be the token. Okay, for example, I want to buy Near. Okay, so I simply go here, and if you scroll down, it will tell you what are the markets. Okay, so you can buy in Binance, you can buy in OKEX, you can buy in Gate.io, you can buy in Huobi Global, or Tokyo. So these are the different exchanges where you can buy. Similarly, like every like whatever may be the crypto, it gives you it tells you where you can buy. So a lot of people ask me like, where do I buy? Okay, best thing to do is come here and check. Okay, just type that in CoinGecko, or there is another site called CoinMarketCap. Okay, for example, let's say I want to like, for example, this one. Okay, so this is a different token. So you can simply come here and click on market. Okay, it will tell you what are the different markets. Okay, so it's available on PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is like a decentralized exchange. Okay, it's available on Bitmart. It is available on Hotbit. Okay, and it also gives you, how you can exchange. So in order to buy from PancakeSwap, I would need BNB. Bitmart, if I have USDT, I can exchange. Okay, Hotbit, I can exchange either with USDT or ETH. Okay, so CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, these are the two sites which will tell you where you can buy tokens. Okay, so again, not all tokens are available on all the exchanges. Only some are available in some. Okay, so the biggest advantage of decentralized exchanges, whenever a new token comes into the market, they are first available on decentralized exchanges. It takes a lot of time for a token to be available on a centralized exchange. Okay, so for example, if you want to make a lot of money, okay, when it hits a decentralized market, okay, when the token is very new, okay, then it's available on a decentralized exchange, and there are very few buyers. Okay, because not everybody is well accustomed to trade on decentralized exchange. Okay, so the volume is low. There are like less buyers, so you might get it for a cheaper rate. Okay, so you buy it. Again, when it hits a centralized exchange, okay, you will see generally there is a huge spike. If you guys have seen my recent posts, okay, I mentioned like there was a token called Spell. Okay, I said like it's going to list on Coinbase the next day. Okay, you saw like it was a 30-40% hike. Okay, similarly, and then again I posted another post saying like 4 or 5 cryptocurrencies are going to be listed on Coinbase, and if you can always go and check. Okay, the day before listing and the day of listing, you will see like at least 30-40% hike in the price. Okay, and because the market is not so good, you see 30-40%, but there are cryptos which went like 10 times, 20 times, like 1,000%, 2,000% increase the moment they are listed on centralized exchanges. So the biggest advantage of a decentralized exchange is you get to buy the coin at a very cheaper price. Okay, because there are not a lot of buyers. It's new. And when it hits centralized exchange, there are a lot of buyers. A lot of people want to buy it, so automatically the price increases. Okay, so that's those are the advantages of a decentralized exchange. People ask me like to talk about NFTs, but I think it's way too complicated a topic to discuss NFTs. Probably we can maybe after a couple of sessions, once people are like accustomed to centralized and decentralized exchanges, then probably we can talk about NFTs. Okay. Okay, I think like I thought I will cover other topics also, but it's almost an hour. So I'll take another session to talk about different trends. next half an hour, at least like 12, 12:30, 12:40, I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh, so much for your knowledge share. Definitely, this is new for me as well. Some things are exciting, some I want to learn more. I hope everything, I mean, the feeling for others who have no clue is the same. Irrespective, yeah, as Rajesh said, let's get on to the question and answer if you have any, right? Any specifics. We'll address that. And going forward with this experience, let's see, how we can improvise, etc. And the question and answer is to make everybody's life easy. You raise the hand, you're gonna get a chance. You put that question out, okay? And nothing to feel shy. We can cover through chat as well, but let's go to that process. Please raise a hand. It makes everybody's life easy. So you're gonna get your turn and just put the question out there. And, Rajesh can try to answer as much as he can. So on that note, who has questions? Yeah, Ritesh is the first one to go. Okay, just like ask to unmute and then lower hand. Yeah, Ritesh, you got the mic, I believe. Please go ahead. Yeah, if after I ask you to unmute, if you mute yourself again, you will not get it. You need to raise hand again, please. I hope I'm audible. So you got to raise a hand again, Ritesh, if you want to ask your question. Or let me see, actually. Yeah. Did you get a pop-up?
No.
Yeah, you're good. We can hear you.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. First of all, it was a very good session. In such a short time, you gave me a lot of understanding. A quick question before without
By the way, I'm sorry. Who's the speaker?
Ritesh?
Okay. It shows on mute, but I don't know. Yeah, please go ahead. We can hear you though.
Okay. So one quick question, Mr. Rajesh. For me, who is new to crypto but very established in stocks, how do I know the fees associated with either the centralized or decentralized? I think there's no fee in the decentralized, but I might be 100% wrong. So if you can give your 2 cents view on both the systems with regards to fees. And the other question is there any vice versa system? So if I go to Coinbase and I heard Coinbase Pro, is there a way to know what are the coins or cryptos listed there rather than knowing a crypto and finding out where through these two websites like Coin Market? Is there a vice versa where I can go to Voyager or Coinbase and know the list of all the cryptos?
Yeah, Rajesh. We can't hear you though if you're speaking. Rajesh, we can't hear you. I don't know. I gave you a chance to unmute. You're on unmute. My bad. I called him. He might get back in a minute, guys. I don't know what's the difficulty with the audio, but Yeah, Shankar, once Ritesh's question is answered, once Rajesh is back, Ritesh's question is answered, then we'll get to you.
Okay, can you hear me from phone?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Can you make sure like I am always unmute, like, because when you mute
No,
me,
if you
it's
mute
only
yourself,
giving me
you will
option.
go to mute, Rajesh. I did not do.
No, I'm not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not muting myself. Okay.
Okay, then you should
To
be
answer Ritesh's question. Yeah, to answer Ritesh's question, let's do every exchange, be it a centralized or a decentralized, they have fees. Okay. Again, everything depends upon the exchange. Okay. For example, let's take a centralized exchange. Okay. If you take a centralized exchange, Coinbase. Okay. Coinbase has fees based on your trading volume. Okay. It is 0.5% when you buy or sell if you are a new trader. And I think if you trade more than $20,000 a year, your fees is 0.35% per trade. Okay. Now coming to decentralized exchanges. Now decentralized exchanges, like again, as I said, like different decentralized exchanges have different fees. For example, Uniswap, if you see the fees, they take it in terms of Ethereum, and it's one of the highest fees. Okay, so each trade would cost you anywhere between $100 to $200. So don't trade on Uniswap. Okay. Then if you come to PancakeSwap, it is like I think 10 or 15 cents, and it's not a percentage of your trade. Okay, you buy for $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million, your fees is like 10 to 15 cents, or even if you buy for $1, it is 10 to 15 cents. Okay, so again, you need to be aware of like what decentralized exchange you are using. Based on that, they will charge you the fees. The good thing is, before you make a trade, it will show you when you do on a trade, it will show you, hey, this is the minimum fees, this is the maximum fees. Based on that, it will cost you that amount. So you can always take a decision if you want to go ahead with the trade or not. Okay. Next, you asked me like vice versa. How do I find like what tokens are on an exchange, instead of figuring out where the token is? Okay, simple, same page. If you're still seeing my screen, all you have to do is here you search for the token, right? There you need to search for the exchange. For example, if you want to find out what are the tokens available on Coinbase, okay, all you need to do is search for Coinbase. Okay. So if you see at the bottom, it's showing you Coinbase exchange. The moment you click on that, it will show you all the tokens that are available on the exchange. So you can do vice versa. Okay. Yeah. Is there a way like somebody can type your question and it's easy for me to answer, so that like we don't have any audio difficulties, at least for this call?
Yeah. Okay. So is that question answered, Rajesh? Are we done with that?
Yeah, I think I answered these two questions.
Okay, got it.
Hopefully, I covered.
Okay, understood. Okay, he says.
Yeah, I think he said it's good.
Okay. Yeah, your suggestion also is taken into consideration. Whatever they put in chart, we'll go through it. Shankar raised his hand, so let me go through that. Right. Shankar, you should have a chance.
Yeah, I think I can see his question. Is there something that a particular coin is legal in US? Okay, so there is nothing like legal or illegal. Okay, it is regulated versus non-regulated. That's all. There is nothing illegal. Okay, there is nothing like illegal. Okay, it's regulated versus non-regulated. That's the only difference. So, and if you are new, I would say stick to centralized exchanges. And anything that is present on the centralized exchange, you can always buy, and you can sell. There is nothing like illegal. Okay, but there are some things like ICOs and all that stuff. There are certain restrictions saying that, hey, you cannot participate in this token sale or in this IPO. They give you a clear-cut instructions. Okay, so keep yourself away from it. Okay, so that's the only thing. But there is I wouldn't say legal or illegal. I would say regulated versus non-regulated. Okay. Next, I see Krishna. Can you explain about private mining like pre-IPO? Okay. First of all, mining is different and a pre-IPO is different. Okay. Mining is, so if you see what is mining, if you remember, I said there is no centralized authority to authenticate a transaction. Okay. So let's say I want to send money from here to someone else. Okay. So you broadcast transaction and there are people called validators. Okay. They say yes, this transaction is valid. So for doing that, they get we pay a fees and they get a part of that fee. So that is mining. Mining is nothing but you validate the transactions, and for doing that you get a share of the fees paid by the party. Okay, the person who is doing transaction. That is mining. Whereas pre-IPO is like you want to buy a token before it hits the market. It's very similar to your IPO, but here we call it as ICO, initial coin offering, or initial game offering, okay, or initial DEX offering. Okay, there are like different words, but it's just buying before it hits the market. There you have to be very careful, because 99.9% of the IPOs or ICOs or anything related to crypto are restricted to US citizens. So I would keep away from it. If you are in US, keep away from it. Okay. Why exchanges are so different as all types of coins are? No. So why exchanges are so different? The thing is, every token has its own technology. Okay. Like for example, why exchanges are so different is asking, why do we have Android? Why do we have Apple? Why do we have Amazon? They are different platforms, right? Like apps available on Android are not available on Apple iStore. Whatever are available on Apple iStore, they are not available on Amazon Web Store. Okay, so they are different technologies. They are different platforms. Okay, so for a coin to be available on a centralized exchange, they need to write some software so that it can connect to that chain or that platform and do trading. So that's why not all coins are available on all the exchanges. If an exchange is willing to interact with that platform, it can be. It's same as like an app is available on Android but it is not available on Apple Store. Why? I mean, Apple has to work with the development team to make sure it is available on that. Okay. Similarly, the developer also needs to write versions for both Apple and Android. It's very similar to that. Okay. So that's why not all tokens are available on that. In DCX as mining fee. Okay. For a token that is not supported by an exchange, what is the cheapest way to buy in DCX? Okay, as mining fee is a lot. So for a token that is not supported by a centralized exchange, best way is to buy it in a decentralized exchange. Okay. Yes. Only you are saying like $200 fees. That's only for Ethereum based. So if you buy it on Uniswap or anything that is on Ethereum chain, the transaction fee is $200. But for other chains, like if you want to buy on PancakeSwap and all that stuff, it is very, very cheap. It's like in cents. Gate.io platform centralized, or Gate.io is a centralized platform, and yes, KYC is required for majority of them. Okay, KYC is required. They might not ask you KYC at the time of creating an account, but when you try to withdraw funds from it, they're going to ask you for KYC. So feel free. Be very cautious and only open the account if you're willing to do KYC. Okay. You cannot buy so USD INR is not available on Gate.io because Gate.io is not an Indian exchange. So you need to go to an Indian exchange in order to convert your INR to whatever is a crypto. So FuzzyRex is your best bet. Okay. Next question is from Ritesh. What is the difference between Coinbase and Coinbase Pro? Which one to start with for newbies? Okay. So Coinbase and Coinbase Pro are exchange. They are like one and the same. Okay. They're just two different interfaces. If you want to buy with a credit card, I would say go with Coinbase. But if you are willing to connect your bank account, then I will always say go with Coinbase Pro because the fees is very less. Is it safe? Next, Krishna. Okay, can you explain different types of investing in coins, mining, passive? Okay, I think I will take a different session for what are the different types of investments. Okay, if you see now, I have explained you can buy trade tokens at the same time. You can just buy stable coins and give it for interest. For now, I could cover only those two, but there are so many ways you can earn money in crypto. Okay, I'll probably take a few more sessions. Okay, is it safe to connect wallet in DCS from Sairam? So I don't know. I've never seen. I mean, I did not hear about DCS exchange. But if your question is it safe to connect to a decentralized exchange? Yes. Again, there are lots of decentralized exchanges, but there are some trusted ones like Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap. Those are established ones. So make sure you connect to them. Again, be careful that there are phishing sites which resemble like Uniswap, SushiSwap. So make sure you go to the official links. Always you can go to the official links from CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko and buy from there. Okay. Next, can I track all the tokens that I bought through different different decentralized exchanges under one roof? Yes, there is a way. You can check something like multi-chain wallets. Zapper.io is a good example. So you can connect your wallet to Zapper.io, and it will show you all the coins across all decentralized exchange, whatever you have purchased. Okay. Again, that's an evolving space. You will see more and more coming into the chip, but Zapper.io is they recently maybe 2-3 months ago they started this, and that's a good place. You can connect your wallet to that, and it will show you your holdings across all decentralized exchange. Next question is, when can you do a session on NFT, meta, how to buy, where to buy, etc.? Probably we'll plan something next week and we'll see. Okay. Next question is crypto going to crash? A lot of news that BTC will drop to 37K. It's completely possible. I would not rule out, BTC going to 36K. But chances are less, but I would not rule out. So anybody who is planning to invest, do not invest all the money now. I mean, slowly layer into, buy some, whatever you want to buy, maybe put 20%. If it goes down further, put another 20%, like that. Okay. So be prepared. Nothing is guaranteed. I will not be surprised if Bitcoin goes from here to 80,000 by end of the year, or even if it goes to 20,000, I will not be surprised. It totally depends upon market conditions. But what I can tell you is, a lot of people who are in crypto, they are buying and accumulating Bitcoins. Okay, so there is something called on-chain analysis. So please read that. You will find a lot of information. Just say on-chain analysis on Bitcoin. They will give you a lot of information. So if you see people who are older, people who have been in crypto for at least 1 or 2 years, they are accumulating. Okay, and even whales means people who have a lot of money. Okay. If you see, they are accumulating Bitcoins. Okay, and people who are new, who don't understand crypto, who bought at 50,000 and they are panic selling, saying, oh, from 50 it fell down to 47. They are panic selling, and people who are in crypto, they are buying. Okay, so that's what I can say. Big people, big institutions. I'm sure you will be hearing MicroStrategy is buying, Tesla is buying, and there will be so many other companies which will come, which will tell in Q4 they bought. Okay, so all the big guys and smart money is buying crypto. That's all I can say. But it doesn't mean it will not fall down to 37 or 20. Okay, so be prepared for anything. So is the current share bullish or bearish? It is. I would still say bullish unless it falls to unless it falls down to 20 or below 20. Okay. Krishna, do we need to maintain multiple wallets? Yes and no. Okay, if you want to purchase a lot of coins across different chains, yes, you might have to maintain a lot of wallets. But I would suggest if anybody who is less than 3 to 4 months experience in crypto, I wouldn't suggest them to do anything. Learn about them and slowly start with SushiSwap, then PancakeSwap, and then go to others. But do not jump into multiple wallets at the same time. Okay. Next question is from Srini. How do you identify rug pulls? It will be very obvious. Okay, rug pulls like very obvious. Like let's say you get an email saying like we'll double your money in 20 days. Okay, so that's a rug pull. Okay, so if you see, just check like what is a project? Is there a use case? Okay, how many people are holding that? All that information is public. Okay, see the trading volumes. Okay, see if it is like going up one day, coming down, the other day. You can easily identify a rug pull. It's like, how do I identify a penny stock which is going out of business? Same thing. Okay, if it doesn't show you a proper use, the team is anonymous or the website looks shady. Okay, there is no social activity on the corresponding Twitter or Telegram handles. No trading volume. These are all indications of a rug pull. Okay, if you remember, I shared a video called "Will GRQ go to 1000? Will GRQ do 1000x?" Okay. In that, he clearly explains like how to identify a shit coin or a coin which is not good. Okay, he has given different parameters what you need to analyze in order to figure that out. Okay, so that's the best way to identify. That's a very good video. Watch that. How to evaluate coins, please? Yeah, this is a very good question. Okay, how to evaluate coins? Okay, a lot of people in crypto who I know. Okay, they tend to gravitate towards tokens which are less in price. Okay, for example, I hear Shiba Inu for $100 I get millions. Don't go by that. Don't go by the price of the coin. Always look at the market cap. Okay, so total number of coins into the price of the coin. See where it is. Okay, and compare it against a comparative coin. For example, somebody is saying I'm going to build a smart contracts platform like Ethereum. Okay, so analyze the features. If you think, okay, hey, this is doing everything what Ethereum can do, so then check the market cap of the token. Okay, so let's say Ethereum, there are like 1 billion tokens. Okay, and each is 4,000. Okay, but if say there is another coin and it's like 1,000 trillion tokens and it is like only $4, but the market cap, if you compare the market cap, it is way more than Ethereum. Okay, so always compare the market caps. Do not compare the price of the token. Compare the market caps and compare it against the similar coin. What is a similar coin? Is it able to do everything that is doing? And if it is less than that, then don't. Okay, otherwise don't go for it. Next question is, what is the impact on crypto as many countries are in a phase of regulation? Yes, see, every government is going to regularize it. They are going to try to control it because the governments are losing their power to crypto. For example, see, banks, end of the day, all the banks are connected to your central banks. If banks lose power, if you are able to send money freely to whoever you want, and you are taking away the bank, indirectly that affects the central bank of any country. Okay, and money can flow in and out of the country very easily. Okay, say for example, if I want to send money to India, right now my channel is to convert my USD to INR, but I can do the same thing with crypto. So I am taking away the banks. Okay, so every country is going to regularize, but as long as they do meaningfully, it's good. But regularization is good. It's not bad. Still both regularized and unregularized, both segments will exist. Okay, and again, always regularized stuff is like safer for new people, and every country is going to do. So we should not be worried about regularization, because if it is regularized, big money will come into the game. Okay. Okay. Next question is, what was the reason to keep the assets on exchange 100K? Why 100K? Why not 50K? So it's totally up to you. Okay. I'm not saying there is no fixed amount. Say for example, if I am a small trader and 10K is a big amount, and if I don't want to sell it for years, you can always take it. But in order to store it, you need a secure laptop. I wouldn't suggest like put it on a Windows laptop and do it, or you need to buy a ledger. So the cost to have all these things is more. So it doesn't justify for assets less than 10,000. For example, if I want to store it on a laptop, then I would prefer Mac. I would never store it on a Windows. So you need a Mac. Okay, or like you want a Ledger Nano, so it is like $100, $200. Then again, you have to transfer from your exchange to your wallet when you want to store it. And again, when you want to sell it, you have to transfer from your ledger to the wallet. So there is a transaction fee involved. So if you consider all those things, and if you're not keeping it for a long term, I wouldn't. That's the reason I gave a ballpark of 100K. But it's totally up to you. Figure out how much is the transaction cost, like what is the cost of the hardware and all this. Based on that, take your call. Okay. Next question is, I have an account in Coinbase. Can I use the same credentials for Coinbase Pro? I think you can use the same credentials for Coinbase Pro. Coinbase and Coinbase Pro are same. Okay. Next question is there any risk it can get hacked and lose all the volume? Yes, I told you, right? Like any exchange can get hacked, and you can lose all your money. So it's better always to distribute across multiple. Okay. Next question is, what are the top 3 high potential cryptos which have a potential 100 to 1000x? Okay. 100 to 1000x you have to put like in very, very risky platforms, risky place. If you have seen, I have given something called Degen tokens in the chat, so please go and look at them. I wouldn't say 1000x, but possibly if you keep it for like a couple of years, maybe they might hit 100x. Okay, but nobody can guarantee. Okay. Yeah, you mentioned you are not a fan of meme coin, but with Elon Musk backing Dogecoin, would you recommend this coin? Okay, I'm really not a fan of Doge. I like Elon Musk, but I don't know. I mean, he doesn't back. If you really read between the lines of his tweets, he's just teasing you guys. Okay, it's a joke for him. Okay. Now, would you recommend, like, see what happened to Doge? I mean, people who bought it even before Elon Musk tweeted, they were in profits. But I know a lot of people who bought it at like 70 cents, and see what is happening. If Elon Musk is backing, how could it fall from 70 to 17 cents? Do you see any news from Elon Musk these days about Dogecoin? Do you hear him like talking about why it fell from 70 to 17 cents? Similarly, does he show the same affection to Dogecoin as he shows for like any of his other companies? It's a joke for him. So read between the lines, try to understand what he's doing. Okay, again, you can make money with meme coins. I'm not saying no, but the risk of losing money is much higher than the possibility of making more money. Okay, so you can put maybe like a lotto. If you're putting $1,000 into crypto, I would say like put $50 into meme coin. You might make, you might not make. Okay, but if you're just thinking about like I'll double my money, triple my money, there are like so many established coins with which you can do. Okay. Any plans to start crypto broad things have you? I will leave it to the admins, crypto broadcast group. Okay, I think I have answered all the questions on the chat. I can take 5 more questions if anybody wants to type.
Rajesh, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh. This is really great info, and you have been very patient in answering everyone. So anybody on this chart, or even on any of our groups, the modem to speak or communicate is through charts, right? Well, we all have works, and some of us are busy, etc., etc. So no effort, no gain. So he has been continuously sharing great value, which I am yet to even look at it, because I'm into stock and option, and I'm happy there, making money, flexible, and I got comfortable over last 1 years of hardships, good and bad lessons, right? Same way, all of us, I think we are all common people who are in these groups, right? We are starting to dream, make slow starters, not compare with others, we are not part of any of the pump and dump groups, or that kind of what do you say, nature or something is not developed here. Anything, I think Sai also and their admins are very much focused. If that kind of things are created, they're going to take an action right away, right? So he has been sharing great info. Thank you, Rajesh. I seriously felt this is great info, learning curve. So thank you for your time. And definitely, 100x, whatever you mentioned, definitely it catches eyes of so many people here.
Yes.
So let's go to the group. Whatever he's sharing, maybe you want notifications from him, put it that way, you don't miss it, because he has been sharing a lot of info. So one question, we all want to know, or that caught attention quickly for many people, and it also says Sairam's iPhone user. He wants to know what is the 100x coin, so he can buy it right away, I guess.
Yeah. So I have shared again. I will do like it's not one coin. Again, potential is 100x. Again, it's not going to happen tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Adoption should happen, and only then you will get 100x. Okay. Again, if you are a newcomer, I wouldn't put my money into 100x coins. I will always put it into I will always put it into like established tokens. Okay. Again, I will share all the tokens with different risk levels. Okay. In the chat, in an hour or so. And I'll give my price predictions on those again, but nothing is guaranteed. This is not a financial advice. I am not an expert. I am just as you guys. I just entered crypto before. I'm just telling based on what I think. Okay. Again, end of the day, if you buy, if you make profit, it's you who are going to get it. If you buy and if you lose money, it is your money. Okay. So I can only tell my views. After that, it's totally up to you to either invest or not invest. But I would strongly suggest learn. Okay, if I give a token, read about it. What is the token doing? Does it make sense? Okay, will it have market value? Will people use it? Okay, is the team behind the token capable of doing it? What were their previous projects? What is their experience? So do all this. I mean, if you spend some time on token, you will get a pretty good idea. Okay, so again, whatever I'm going to tell on chat or like any of my sessions, it's all like my thoughts. Okay, nobody can guarantee anything. Again, you don't have to really buy 100x coins to gain. Just take a look at top 25. Just click on any top 25 coin, click on the chart, and go 2 years back. Okay, I'm sure you will find 10 to 15x easily in 2 years. Okay, take Bitcoin. Okay, 2017 it was 2018 it went all the way to 3,000. Today it is, even after such a dip, it is like 47,000. So calculate the number of X's. Okay, take Ethereum. It was $100, $120 in 2018. Check, it is $4,000. It already did a 30-40x. Okay, take Solana. It was like $2 last year. Today it is like $190. Okay, so calculate the number of X's. You don't have to risk a lot in order to get huge money. Do research. You will find 100x coins which are established without taking a lot of risk. And I wouldn't suggest anybody to buy 100x coins if they are new. Go with the established players and think in long term. Don't take someone's advice like, hey, my friend bought this, he made like 20x in a day or in a month. No, don't go by that. Like, you'll always hear good. You'll never hear who bought Shiba Inu or Dogecoin at top, and they will never tell you that I bought at 70, now it is. So nobody's going to tell you, nobody is going to shill you on the YouTube. You will only hear positive stories. Okay. Somebody asked me what is SHIB is a shit coin. I'm not cursing that. That's a term used in crypto. Okay. When somebody says shit coin, it's not that they're angry about that or they want to demoralize that. That's a term used in crypto. Okay, right. So these are all called shit coins or meme coins. Okay, Shiba, anything which doesn't have any purpose. Like just before buying Shiba, okay, go to the website and see like what are they trying to solve. Okay, so if you find a meaningful reason what they are trying to solve, then would you buy a stock if they simply say this is just a meme stock? We are not doing anything. Okay, we are not doing anything. You just buy and hold. A lot of people who buy after you will buy it for more and you make the money. Would you go and buy a stock, such a stock? You would not. Same is with a meme coin. So find the utility behind that, and if that utility makes sense, buy it. Otherwise, no. Next question is, what is your recommendation on placing orders like GTC? Yes, always put sell orders when you buy something. Have an idea, okay, and put GTC. Again, layering. Always don't buy everything at once and don't sell everything at once. Always DCA in and DCA out. What is NFT? I think we need to take a different session. It's not like an answer which I can tell in like 5 minutes. Okay. Based on BTC cycle, any thoughts on where we are? I mean, we are still in bull market. I think we will hit somewhere the Bitcoin top somewhere in Q1 or Q2, but anything can happen. Okay. Hi Rajesh, when we convert one coin to another, do we have to report tax? Yes. When you convert from one coin to another, yes, you need to report it as taxes. So if you're trying to sell something and buy something else, make sure you have understood your tax liability. Okay, so let's say you bought something and you find your other coin is 10% less, but if you sell it, you might have to pay 35% taxes. So just make your calculations before you do the trade. Okay. So I think that's all for today. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll plan for a different session.
Yeah, I think thank you, Rajesh, so much. You have patiently answered everyone. It has 1:44, so definitely 2 hours. So we will take anything further and we'll come up with more planning, etc., etc. Definitely, you might have been coordinated with Sai, everything. He was not available in the last minute, so I had to jump in. One request to all who have joined. I think I have to do during my sessions as well. Few left, 65, 70 people joined, a few left already, which is okay. One thing I see is many get onto sessions, they take inputs. Nobody has to be grateful in words or shower praises every time. But one thing I felt is if I were to get some knowledge from anyone, if I put it out there, the real help I got it, that might help to inspire few others who did not join, who missed it, or who thought they never paid attention, might grab some of their attention to help their investments, right? The whole purpose I'm trying to tell is when I joined this group, okay, one or two posts from Sairam, right, Saigar, that has changed my life with respect to investment. Let me tell you, I got FOMO or pumped, whatever you call it. One thing he posted has changed my entire thing with respect to investment. I have zero knowledge when I joined ThinkSabio, but that has helped me. So on that note, I think I will start in my sessions also. Rajesh has done great job today. He has given great info, and again we'll plan more structuredly. My last point is please give some feedback in the groups. Don't forget what you got. That way, it inspires others also to join and see if they can get the benefits, and they can do their investments in the proper way. I feel so many pinging me DM, right? They don't know where to start. They don't know what an option is, especially because I'm on that area. So I thought I have to somehow tell this is what it is. This is how I started. There is nothing rocket science here. We can do it, right? So on that note, just a request, a polite request. Please do give your feedback so that many people get inspired. Just a small request. Yeah. On that note, I don't think I have any other comments, Rajesh. If you don't have any as well, we can drop off, and we will plan more and more based on your availabilities.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot,
Great,
everyone,
guys.
for your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank you,
talking to
guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy with all our families, and do not forget my request if possible. Let's give some good feedback based on your real feedback. Don't need to tell something else. Real feedback rather than putting it here. Let's share in our PC squared groups so people get to get the benefit. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye. Thank you, Rajesh. Bye. I'll just capture some of the chart. Let's see.